Hi everyone, and welcome to So Fun for the month of May. If you don't know me, my name is Rosemary. I work in the Arvada store, and those of you who do know me know that I'm a California girl, so I absolutely love this weather. I like it when it gets nice and warm, and I like it even better when it gets really hot. And I hope I've got some nice projects for you that will inspire you for the coming months. So another thing that a lot of you know about me, I love the stuffed animals. That's one of the things I just have so much fun making, and I like the Tilda books. So of course I have a Tilda book for you. So this one here is called Sunshine Sewing. So it goes right along the theme of warm weather and sunshine. It's got a kitty cat right on the front of it. It's got a lot of really fun stuff in it. One of the things I wanted to make was these bowls that they have in here. They are made with rope and scraps. So you just wrap scraps around the edges of the rope, and then you lay them together and you sew them with your sewing machine. Unfortunately, I didn't get any of those made. She also has some fruit that you can make and stuff in there as well. She, of course, has quilts in here. She has some cute bags for you to make. And you don't have to stick with her color schemes. You could make them in any color you want. You can really make a really bright and cheery one, or you could make a dark one with dark colors if you wanted to. I always say books are made to inspire, not necessarily tell you that you have to follow their ideas and their directions and everything. So, of course, the one that attracted me the most was the kitty cat on the front of it. And here's the kitty cat on the inside of the book. Normally, when she has something that's mostly just scrap fabrics sewn together, I like to do that out of the scrap fabrics. But this time I thought I would just give it a go and try something a little bit more difficult. And I made the kitty cat out of minky. And her tummy is made out of a velour fabric that I got at Joann's. And I went ahead and did her nose, the front of her paws, and the paws down here out of that. And then the rest of it is made out of this minky. I have to tell you, I had minky for everywhere, all over my house as I was cutting this little cat out. I did, because of the thickness of the minky and everything, I changed the tail. The tail in the pattern is very curved. This one is not. And I didn't stuff it right at the tip because I wanted it to kind of flop around a little bit. So if you notice the pattern, this little kitty cat has a patch over his eye, and he's got two little dots. That's one of the things Tilda does, is she usually just does dots for eyes. But I wanted to do something just a little bit different, and so I used my PE design software. It doesn't really matter what kind of embroidery software you have, whether you have FTCU, PE design, my Sewnet, any of those. You can do fast and easy little embroidery designs. Don't let it intimidate you. If you have an embroidery machine and you've thought about software, it's a really fun thing to have, even if it's just to finish up a project. And I did these little eyes in probably 10-15 minutes. Just drew a shape, drew another shape, drew another shape, and it created the eyes. And then if you have the top-of-the-line brother or baby lock machine, the Solaris, the Luminaire, the Meridian, the Altair, or the Stellaire, you can lay the face down on the hoop and scan it and get those eyes exactly where you want them and embroider them out. I used a topping on the top, of course, because you've got to have a topping when you're going through all this fuzz. But I thought that made a really cute little kitty cat. This tutu is not in the book, but it's just a bunch of tulle just gathered up and sewn in place, and then I glued some little roses around her waist and then put a little rose right here just for the fun of it. So I was very happy with the way she came out. She's a nice, floppy, fun little kitty cat. So also in the same book, she has some mermaids, and they are just as cute as they can be. They're very much like some of the ones she's had in her past books, except for they have a mermaid tail on them. The hair is appliqued in place. What I did was I wanted to make them little, because I thought, I've got way too many dolls and not enough people to give them to, so wouldn't it be fun to make a little doll that would fit in a shoebox that you could put in one of those shoe boxes you give away at Christmas time? So that's what I did. I traced the pattern. She has absolutely fabulous patterns in the back of the book, really easy to trace, but they overlap each other. So you need to trace them first on a piece of regular paper. You can put it on your scan and cut, you can scan it in, and then you can size it down. You can say, make that 65% of what it was before. You'll get a smaller pattern, you can cut it out, and you can make a smaller doll. Or you could make a bigger doll the exact same way. So here are my mermaids. Here's the first one that I made, and I used a batik for her hair. And I just happened to have this fabric. I had bought it a long time ago up at the quilt store, and it was for dragons that I was making, and I had enough scraps to go ahead and make the tail for this little mermaid. Because my dolls are so tiny, I couldn't make the stars that they have across the top for her little bustier, so I just sewed some lace flowers in that place instead. I put some pearls around the little ponytails, and again, I used my software to create a face. I thought it would be really fun to make up a face, like a little doll face. It's really fast and easy. You don't have to be artistic in any way to create a little face to go onto a doll with your software. And that's what I did. I made this little face, and she's got green eyes, and I put a little bit of lace around the waist right there. And then I'd made another one. Same thing, I had some green fabric. I used a little bit of lace that I got from Joann's over the top of a grunge fabric to do the hair, so she has a little bit of a sparkle in her hair. And then I took some white lace that I had. I get lace at the secondhand store all the time. You find an old vest or something that was made of lace, and you take it home and you dye it, and then you can cut up little flowers and pin them in place and sew them. So I thought that made her look kind of like seaweed all over the front of her, added a little bit of dimension to this cute little doll. Instead of sewing the little pom-poms that they make for her hair, I literally glued pom-poms on for her hair. So I thought she came out really cute as well. Just another variation of the same pattern, and you can make some really fun dolls. Just use your imagination and see what you can come up with. But I like the ways those came out, and those are in the Sunshine Sewing book by Tilda. Okay, so the next thing that I want to show you are my purses, and I made 2 of them. And the first one, and this one has got so many little straps on it, I'll probably knock my whole thing down. Okay, so this is called Sloan. And when I first picked it out, I just thought, well, that's a pretty purse. But then when I got into the pattern and everything, I realized that this is supposed to be a like a backpack or an over-the-shoulder bag, and you can change it from one to the other really easily. I wanted to use the wax canvas, and those of you who watch our Sew Fun all the time know that we've been kind of showing some things with wax canvas. We have the wax canvas in the Arvada store in a lot of different colors. It's a really fun fabric to sew on. It's a little bit waterproof, and somebody asked me last month if you can embroider on it. Yes, you can. So I embroidered some flowers on the front of mine. And then this other fabric is fabric we actually have in the Arvada store. This is a very fast and easy purse. If you're not really experienced in purses, this is a good one to get started with. It's got pockets on the inside, and a zipper in the top and 2 handles on it. What makes it a little bit on the unique side is if you look on the back where the strap goes, it leaves a couple little channels so that you can move this strap wherever you want it to go. So I can pull it this way, and I can put it over my head and wear it as a shoulder bag if I want to. Or I can pull it back the other way, the way it was. And I never use backpack purses, but I know all 3 of my daughters do. So there you have a backpack purse. So it's very versatile, and it's a fun bag to make, and it's not complicated at all. So again, an easy beginner project for somebody who hasn't made a lot of bags. When you sew with the wax canvas and you decide to embroider on it, be very careful because it's literally waxed. So like for instance, I ironed on some fusible woven from Floriani on the back before I embroidered on it, and I used a pressing cloth over the top of it because when you put that hot iron on it, the wax melts. So you don't want melted wax all over everything, but it doesn't mess with the fabric at all. So I think it works out pretty good that way. So that's this one. It is called Sloan. So I wanted to do a different pattern that was a little more complicated, and I've said this a million times before when I'm doing So Fun, that I'm not as experienced as some other people at making bags. So sometimes when I get a bag out that I've decided to do, I realize it's a real challenge, and the little bit of a coward in me says, what the heck was I thinking when I started this project? But, you know, you put your mind to it and you get it done, and then you can tell yourself, look what I did, look what I accomplished. And this was one of those. It's called Courtside. It's a brand new pattern by Annie's, and it is actually, and I did not know this when I picked this, it's supposed to be like a pickleball bag is what it is. And it's got pictures, I should have known by looking at the front of it, of paddles and a ball on the front of it. That's why it's called Courtside. So here is my bag. Again, lots of straps. So here's my bag. And my granddaughter, Adelie, is going to college. And I asked her, would you like to have some kind of a backpack that you can take to school with you? Would you like something cute, you know, like princesses or something like that? And she was like, no, I want Spider-Man. So I went to iBroidery. iBroidery is the brother site that has embroidery designs, and they also have the Marvel comic book characters. And this is Spider-Man. And the back part, it's hard to see, but there's Spider-Man on the back as well. I used my Stellaire sewing machine to trace out the Spider-Man and add the brick quilting around the back of it. This part right here, I'm going to be honest with you, I have no idea what the whole point of the zipper down the front is, but it kind of makes it really fun that it opens. You're supposed to be able to put paddles in there. And I had enough scraps from, if you think way back when I did So Fun probably 2 years ago, I did a Spider-Man quilt. I had scraps from the Spider-Man quilt. So it's lined in Spider-Man and Wonder Woman, and I think there's even some Incredible Hulk in the scraps. So I just kind of used up a lot of scraps I had around the house. We always want to do that. I even used some Spider-Man on the back, on the edges of this for the binding that goes around it. So I was able to use up a lot of different kinds of fabrics. Here's a nice thick pocket right here with Spider-Man fabric on the inside. And then when you open it here, it zips all the way down, and you have a nice big bag in here with some netting and a zipper and some different pockets in here that you can put different things in. So I've said this before, I have a brother sewing machine. I think my brother sewing machine can do just about anything. I've never had a problem with it. This bag has got some soft and stable in it. It's got the waxed canvas on it. It's got some stabilizer inside of it. And there's parts of it where you've got the soft and stable in the pocket, and soft and stable in the strap, and soft and stable in the bag. And as I was doing this last little step, and those of you who've done these bags know that the inside is usually got binding going all the way around on the inside as you're putting the last little parts of it together. My machine basically said, you've got to be kidding me. So I went to the store and I got out the Janome M7. That machine will sew through anything. I put the HP foot on there, and I sewed around the edges through all of these layers. It worked like a champ. It's become my best friend. I thought it was a great little sewing machine and could handle it really, really well. I don't know if you saw when I had it completely open, there's even Wonder Woman down there on the very bottom of it. It was, again, a challenge, but I think it came out really, really good. I know my granddaughter's going to be really happy to carry that around with her at school. I don't understand girls and liking Spider-Man, but she does, so she's going to really love that little bag. Okay, so moving right along, let's get into some garment sewing. And the first one that I want to show you is this one here, and it's called the Bondi top, and it is a sew to grow pattern. So basically there is an extension pack that goes with it, so you can start with the original pattern and then make some little changes to it. So that made it kind of fun for me because I was able to make 2 blouses. I started with just the basic Bondi top that has, in the picture, she shows 2 different colors on the back. I did not do that. But I found some really fun fabric, and this is what I ended up with. This is really a light, pretty, almost see-through fabric that's got some open stitching on the front of it. And the blouse was very, very easy to make. It has a piece part in the back with a pleat right here, which gives it a little bit of room. And you can make the back longer than the front, which we all like a whole lot better. And it doesn't, you don't have to put sleeves on it. So the sleeves come down the shoulder just a little bit. So that makes it so you don't have completely bare shoulders, but it makes it great for the beautiful warm weather. And then you just use your serger, serge the edges of it, turn it over, and stitch it. I did the same thing on the bottom. I serged the edges, turned it up one time, and did a top stitch around it. So this little shirt went together so fast. I think I made it probably, including cutting it out, probably 2 hours. So that's the first little top. And then the Bondi top extension pack allows you to make a dress. If you want to make a dress, it allows you just to add some sleeves to the end of it, or you can make it into a tunic. So I decided to make the tunic. Again, just a really fun little woven fabric. It's got a pleat and a seam in the back of it. It shows you how to lay it on some pattern paper and recut it a little bit longer. It shows you how to add a couple of different kinds of pockets. You can make pockets in the side that you slip your hand into, or you can make patch pockets like I did on the front here that goes here. I still made the back a little bit longer than the front and added the sleeves, and then you just take a band of the same fabric and sew it around the end of the sleeve to finish off that sleeve. The neckline is just basically done with a bias cut piece of fabric sewed around it, flipped to the inside, and hand sewn in place. So there's no facings or anything like that. But isn't that a cute little top? I actually can't wait till I can start wearing that to work. Okay, so I also made a little girl's dress. I always try and do a little girl's dress. You guys are going to have to give me a minute because this little girl's all the way over here. So here she is right here. And here's the pattern right here. This pattern is called Geranium, and it comes in size 0 to 5T. It has a whole lot of different variations, so it's a great pattern for you if you want to make a lot of different kinds of little girls' dresses. There's a little cap sleeves on here. There's a little ruffle sleeve, which is what I used on mine. You just finish the edge with your serger or with a little turned over rolled hem and gather it up and put it on there. It has a different kind of a top right here that goes around here, or you can just go ahead and do this a standard circular front on the bodice. I always have to do something different. So what I thought would be really fun, I found this fabric that has all the little dogs from Disney on it. So I went onto iBroidery and I found the 101 Dalmatian embroidery design with some little doggy footprints. So I embroidered that on plain white fabric. And then I wanted to put some contrast in there, so I had this black polka dot fabric to make the pockets on, and I just added a little band. So basically, you cut the skirt shorter than what you would normally cut it, so you can add this whole band on the bottom, and this is just inserted as you put this bottom part on there. And then piping around the waistband, which just adds another little pop of color on there. So the pattern is pretty basic and simple, but use your imagination. See what you can come up with. This one is the blouse one. It actually has a longer version if you want to make it into a dress, but I thought it would be cute as a little tunic with some black leggings on the underneath part. They also give you instructions on how to put pleats in there. If you'd rather not gather up the waistband, you can put some pleats in there too. But this went up really fast. It was really fun to make. I've got 2 great-granddaughters, and I'm going to end up making 2 of them, so each of them have one of these little dresses to wear. So I thought that was really fun. Again, this is called Geranium, and it's got both of the different versions on it. If you turn it around to the back, it actually shows 4 different versions, so you can put pockets, not put pockets, add a little bit of different to it, play with it a little bit until you get something different. Okay, so the next thing I have for you is called Summertime. So we always try and do some kind of an embroidery design, and this is the one that I have this time. And you don't have to have a big embroidery machine. This is done in pieces. You do like one portion, another portion, another portion. You do need to have probably at least like a 10 by 6 hoop. You can't do it with a 5 by 7 hoop. One of the things, so I'll be honest with you, I did not make this. I had my friend Gail make it for me, but we talked about it a whole lot as she was putting it together, what colors we were going to use and everything. And I'm going to go ahead and pull this down. So in the Arvada store, we had this fabric that it was called Euphoria, and it's got the little pink flowers on it. And then this has got bumblebees in it that I'm almost positive I got in our Aurora store. That's the yellow background, is all got little bumblebees in it. So we wanted to switch out the colors. Don't be afraid to do something different than what the pattern tells you to do. And I literally sat down with the instructions and rewrote each one of these that I wanted to be a different color so it would go with the background that we had. So this is just a really cute embroidery design that you could hang on your wall or on your front door during the summertime months. These are just those little rings you buy in the curtain department anywhere that you could put a stick through and hang it up that way. That's the way I'm going to do it, but you could also put a little sleeve in the back that you could put it through. It tells you to use a little bit of trim, and we put rickrack on it, and it's really fun. It says, "Summer and the living is easy, making memories with friends and family, road trips, sailing, sandcastles, flip-flops, backyard barbecue, campfires and s'mores, watermelons are the smiles of summer. Picnics in the park, ice cream cones and popsicles, lemonade stands, twinkling stars above, fireworks and fireflies. A life without love is a year without summer." I mean, it just makes you think of all the fun memories you have of summer just by reading that. So that is just like a little wall hanging that we brought in. It's called It's Summertime. Okay. So one of the books I had brought in is called, and unfortunately mine is kind of beat up because obviously I've used it a lot. It's called Quilt Block Genius. And it is a fabulous book for those of you who are just learning to quilt. It has 300 pieced quilt blocks in it, and it makes 1,001 blocks with no math charts. One of the things I like about it is once you pick a block that you want to do, it will give you measurements for a 4.5-inch block, a 6, a 9, and a 12. So you can pick the different blocks that you want to do. It tells you how many of each of the blocks you have to do. And then when it gives you a little emblem of it cut in half or cut in quarters, it tells you underneath what page to turn to. And at the very front of the book, she has instructions: how to make a pinwheel, how to make a half square triangle, how to make a flying geese. So little tips on how to create those blocks if you've never had the experience of actually making a half square triangle. She even tells you a way to make 4 at a time flying geese. So this is a great book for those of you who are just beginners. In our Arvada store, we have a class that we call Beginning Quilting, and this is the book that we use in that class. And what we're doing is we're doing a block a month and start with something really simple like just a 4-patch, and then move up until you get to the complicated stuff. And this is our quilt. And the only reason why this is Christmas is because I had a whole box full of Christmas, and I thought, this is a good way to make a sampler and at the same time use up all my Christmas fabric. And it is time to start thinking about Christmas stuff already, because you know how long it takes to get finished with a Christmas project. Christmas in July. So this is the quilt that I ended up with. And I think it's really fun. Lots of different projects, lots of different techniques. And by the time you finish it, you'll know how to do just about anything that you want to do. It's a very small little lap quilt. Almost all of this fabric came from a jelly roll that I bought a long time ago that had some Christmas fabrics in it, and then of course from my scrap bin. And then the back of this is made from some fabric that we had in the Arvada Star, and I think it's called Opalescence, but it's a beautiful line of fabric that we brought into that store, and I thought this was a nice way to finish this quilt all up. So that's that one. Okay, so the very last thing I have for you today is this book, and you probably have already seen it because they showed it on the website as a little sneak peek of So Fun to Come. It's called Jelly Roll Quilts for All Seasons. Basically, if you look through the book, it has a quilt for almost every month of the year. There's 12 designs. It starts out with winter, Valentine's Day, and St. Patrick's Day, and works all the way down to Christmas and Halloween. But I didn't do any of those things. I just liked the book. I thought it was really fun, and I used my own ideas. So the first one that I'm going to show you is this one here. It's called Snowflakes, so it's our January quilt, and it's basically stars. Really easy to do. You start with a 9-patch in the center, and then you do flying geese in the corners. Let me see if I can come over here and show you the way the book gives you step-by-step instructions. But I'll tell you something that I thought was really fun, is they tell you to take 2 jelly roll strips and sew them together, and then cut them in squares, and then lay them with a white square and make them into a half square triangle. But you know how sometimes when it says sew from corner to corner, cut off the extra, throw that away? That seems like such a waste. But it tells you to hold on to that piece and put it aside. Then when you get to, you've got your whole star made, and you get to these little corners, you take the scrap that you cut off of here and you put it over here in the corner. When I was first making this, I was a little freaked out because half of the squares that you cut off have a little piece of fabric in the corner, and half of them don't. And I was like, what am I supposed to do with that? It's not going to work. But you don't use them all. You use probably about half of the squares to fill in all of these little corners. I decided right from the beginning when I started this quilt that I was going to use all the opalescence fabrics that are in the Arvada store. Even the background white on white is fabric from the store. So I thought this was a very good example of some of the fabrics we have in the store. Nice, really pretty colors without a lot of busyness going on, because they're all solids, but they've got a little bit of sparkle in them in different parts of them. Then when I finished the quilt and I got it on I have a Simply 16 long arm. I do not have a lot of experience with it, but I thought I would give the Pro Stitcher a little bit of a run for its money and do one square at a time. So I did one square, I did some sashing, I did another square, I did some sashing, and then after I did the whole thing, I did the borders a different way. It was a challenge, and I confess, there was a couple times when I was getting near the end, I thought to myself, what the heck are you doing? But I'm very happy with the result. I think it was definitely worth a little bit of extra effort. I learned a little bit more about my Pro Stitcher, and I'm very, very happy with the way the quilt came out. Now, because we stuck so much to the solid color fabrics on solid color white, I decided to just really whoop it up a little bit, and this is the way the back looks. So it's very bright and cheery and Hawaiian looking on the back. And then I bound it with some more of the gray opalescence. So that was one fabric, and as you can probably guess, because I'm talking about fabric off the bolt in the store, this is not from a jelly roll, but you could make it from a jelly roll if you wanted to. So the next one that I have is this one here, and you would never know to look at it because it's St. Patty's Day, and it's all green. this is the next one that I made. And I had a layer cake of some fabrics that I bought at a quilt show that are all purples and turquoises, and there's a little bit of brown in here. They're just beautiful. They make you think of batiks, but they're not batiks. I actually tried to get this line of fabric in, I couldn't, but just think of all those beautiful deep colors that you have in batiks. You can make a quilt out of it really easily. This quilt is done in the square right here. So basically you pull out one of the colors that you think will be great to be the same right down here, and then I picked the same colors to go down here. Those were my light colors that were in my layer cake. And then the rest of them are just going to do like you're doing strips, like you're doing a log cabin. So when you go to put this together, I'm trying to find the directions. You just have a square that you start with a square here, and then you do the strips, and you keep going across like this until you get it exactly the way you've got the lines going down the middle. If you're not very experienced as quilting, this is a great beginner quilt because it's just a bunch of squares sewn together, and then you get all those squares together and put it up on a flannel board. I have a very little teeny tiny apartment, and I have some flannel on the wall that actually covers the door to my furnace, and I can put things up on there and look at it and see if all these colors come together the way I want them to. And then, of course, I wanted a background. I could have done white because that's the way the picture is with white, but I wanted something for my grandson. His name is Angel, and he just got married on Thanksgiving Day, and he asked me for a quilt. And sometimes when you're trying to do something for the really young people, you want to shake it up a little bit, do it a little bit different. So I looked through our grunges that we have in the store, and we have this beautiful dark navy blue that's got a little spattering of purple and blue inside of it. So I used that for the background, used the opalescence for the last bit of border on it, and then I put it on my long arm and I quilted it with this kind of a clover all over design, which I think made it just come out beautiful. I used some more of this grunge fabric on the back, so you can really see it. You can see the quilting really well on the back, and you can see the purples and the blues come out in that grunge fabric. So I've already told him about the quilt. He's probably going to see it on this video for the first time, but I think it came out really beautiful. It's an experience for me to do something a little bit different, and this one definitely was a little bit different, and I enjoyed making it. So I obviously don't have any notions for you today, just because of all of you who know Rocky Mountain Sewing know that we're moving our warehouse and everything, and that's just kind of the way it happened. But make sure you come down and see our sew funds in the store next week, and you'll get to see a whole lot more with notions and everything. I hope you enjoyed what I had to show you, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.